All right, folks, welcome again to the Most Important Skill in Life podcast. I am your host, Travis Daigle, and this is episode 15 titled Taming the Fear of Failure. This episode is based on an article I wrote on August 30th, 2024, and published to my blog at travisdaigle.com/blog. To start off with our reading of that piece, the movie Rudy depicts the real-life story of Daniel Rudy Rudiger. It is a quintessential underdog story filled with highs and lows as Rudy, who is very small in stature at 5'6" and 165 pounds, follows his dream to one day play football for the University of Notre Dame, Fighting Irish. There are several moments of massive triumph in the movie where Rudy achieves a major milestone in the face of huge odds against him. While I love those scenes, the part of the movie that always draws tears out of me is a scene of profound sadness and worry as Rudy contemplates the possibility that his dream won't come true. Rudy is about to quit the team after 2 years of hard work on the practice squad because his dream of suiting up for an actual game may not come true. Before that, he spent multiple years at a junior college working out on his own and working hard academically to even qualify to be a student at Notre Dame. Before that, he spent a few years after high school working in a manufacturing plant to save money to pay for school tuition. This entire time, he has had to endure the mocking and constant reminders from people that he has neither the athletic or academic pedigree to be a Notre Dame student athlete. There's a point in the film where Rudy is confronted by his friend Fortune. Rudy is skipping out on the last practice of the season because he's not going to be allowed to suit up for the last game. As actor Sean Austin, who plays Rudy, says in the film when asked why he wasn't at practice, "I don't know. I just don't see the point anymore." The disappointment of knowing you have put in a massive amount of effort over years of time only to fall short of your objective can be utterly maddening and profoundly heartbreaking. I felt these things so many times growing up. Countless times when I was trying to lose weight, I asked myself, what's the point of continuing to try? In the film, Rudy returns for his final practice after being given a stern talking to by his friend Fortune. I'm fairly sure that this is a fictional component of the movie, but it depicts the struggle between chasing a dream and experiencing massive disappointment. As Fortune says in the clip, "I guarantee a week won't go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you." In my opinion, this scenario summarizes why people don't try hard things. Life can beat you up in so many ways without pursuing some big dream. To willingly sign up for that ass kicking by chasing some dream that may never come true is too much for most people. Again, I know the feeling so well. The movie was released in October of 1993. This was 10 months after I began my journey of weight loss. As I have said many times, I struggled and failed for 7 years between 1992 and the year 2000. I just wanted to feel better about myself, and every year recommitting to the task was so hard, particularly going back to school after a summertime spent thrashing myself with daily workouts only to get heavier every year. Then going right back to school to be belittled and taunted by classmates and on rare occasions, teachers for being overweight. It can all be so demoralizing knowing how much effort you're investing in trying to make something happen, and it feels so out of reach. Then mustering the will to keep trying and keep showing up until you succeed or the window closes on the possibility. It was so important for me to know that I did all that I could. It was so important for me to be able to face failure knowing that I gave it the best effort that I had in me with the knowledge I had. At the end of every summer, I had to stand up with that broken heart and say to myself, I will not let how I feel get the best of me. I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to get called fat, slow, and stupid. I will be laughed at for anything I try to do in sports. I will not quit. They will not get the best of me. This is the hardest thing for people to understand, and it might be the most important of the three principles of ownership. Positive change is predicated on consistent action. This is the first principle of ownership. Therefore, if we let negative emotion deter our ability to exhibit consistent action, then we will most certainly never see the change we desire. This is why people don't pursue passions. There's absolutely no guarantee of success, while chasing anything hard will most certainly guarantee pain, disappointment, and failure. I think what is ultimately on the line in these moments is our sense of self-respect and self-confidence. It still amazes me that people who didn't grow up overweight and being bullied the way I did have such fear of trying to lose weight as adults, fear of looking awkward at the gym, fear of failing and being disappointed in themselves, or people who want to start businesses and they fear the high likelihood of failure, or a litany of things that people desperately want to try but are too scared of the potential of failure. Oddly enough, it's all the failure and disappointment I experienced as a young person that has given me the confidence to try really challenging things as an adult. This includes engineering, the military, business, creating online content, mixed martial arts, and etc. I'm confident in my ability to overcome the experience of a broken heart and the pain of failing, so I don't let the possibility of failing stop me from trying things. It's like being afraid of getting hit in martial arts. It's perfectly logical to be afraid of getting hit, but if you never spar and test your skills in a live scenario, you are unlikely to get significantly better. The key is to not let fear control you. In our case here, not letting the fear of heartbreak cause us to play small in life is what we are trying to control. Use the fear to make you disciplined. Use the fear to help you acknowledge risk. Use your fear to help you come up with an alternative plan should the first one fall through. Use the fear to make you wise enough to imagine the worst case scenario and how you'll mitigate that situation. Use the fear to help you be vigilant and grateful for every moment you get to chase your vision. Let pain, losing, and heartbreak make you better. We are going to experience negative emotions in life no matter what we do. In my opinion, we might as well experience those negative emotions while trying to chase the life we actually want to live. Folks, again, the title of that article is Taming the Fear of Failure, and I posted that to my blog on August 30th, 2024. And to expound more on what I wrote in the article, there are 2 points that I want to dive into here. And the first is, why is Rudy such an important movie to me? And it's in my opinion, it's literally my favorite movie. But like I said in the article, it's the quintessential underdog story. And my favorite part of the movie is this scene where Rudy is in his dorm room and he's clutching his Letterman jacket, his Notre Dame Letterman jacket. And, he's crying because he's contemplating the possibility that at the end of this road of all this hard work and all these hard practices and injuries and being mocked for even trying, that there's this possibility that, man, I won't get to suit up and dress for a game. And we're not talking about playing in the game. He's just trying to get the chance to make the dress list to show up for a game on, Saturdays when they play. And the reason this movie is so important to me is, and movies like this are important to me, is the thing I think that draws us to the underdog is there's so much of the movie, and again, this scene is important. There's so much of the movie that's just disappointment and failure. Rudy is in junior college and he's applying semester after semester to get over to Notre Dame, and he gets denied over and over and over again. Rudy is working after, Rudy graduates high school. And he goes to try to go on a college visit to Notre Dame. And one of the teachers organizing the visit stops him from getting on the bus with the other students because that teacher says your grades aren't good enough. So there's no point in you even visiting the school. They won't even let him visit the school right after high school. And it's this part that I relate to so much. And like I talked about at the time when that movie came out, and I think this is a big reason it spoke to me. It was October 1993 when the movie debuted in theaters. And I don't think I actually got to watch it maybe till like a few months, 6 months or a year after that. And so we talking about by the time I had watched the movie, I had already spent about 2 years working out on my own trying to lose weight. Remember, I started working on weight loss December 25th, 1992. That Christmas, I got a weight set. My mom bought me a weight set for Christmas, and I began working out on my own trying to lose weight. And so by this point, 2 years in, 2 summers in of brutalizing myself trying to work out, lose weight, I'm recognizing wholeheartedly, like, man, this is going to be a lot harder than maybe I ever even perceived it being. But I'm committed to keep trying. And like I described in the article, the hardest part for me was I was putting in so much work and putting in so much effort on my own and going back to school every year, going right back to being bullied every year, teased every year, watching sports from the sideline, being excluded from things because of the way I looked, being talked about in any kind of way because I was overweight, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, again, it can be maddening when you're trying to, like, you want so desperately to get to this place, reach this goal, achieve this dream, and it always seems out of reach. Especially like when you look around and it seems like other people are prospering and having fun, and maybe they're having fun at your expense, right? And I think one of the things that I didn't realize then, part of the reason I think in the movie, well, I don't know why people are mocking Rudy. I don't know this man's true life story. I don't know how it went. But I presume part of the reason people belittle and mock other people who are chasing like the unlikely and chasing the hard thing or trying to achieve some, crazy idea or dream. I think part of the reason people mock those people is because they don't have the courage to try themselves. And when I look back, even on my experience, it was even happening as, a kid in school. When I would try out for sports, I remember one day I was trying out for I think I read about this in my book, but I was trying out for the baseball team the first time, and I had bought my own bat. I had bought my own batting gloves. I bought my own equipment. And, I was trash at baseball, certainly, especially when I first tried out. Like, I hadn't had any real exposure to the game, but I really wanted to play and I really wanted to try out. So if I want to try out, of course, the first thing to do is get the equipment required to play the game. And I remember one of the other guys at the tryout, he was a fairly decent player. I remember he came up to me and he asked me, why would you spend money on this equipment when you knew how bad you were at the game? And I remember just telling him, like, well, I want to play. Like, I know I'm not as good as you guys, but I want to play. So isn't the fundamental thing to do is to buy the equipment so I can at least have the right equipment to play the game, even if I'm not good at it? I can't begin to get good if I don't have the equipment to play. But this is the difference between this mentality of being controlled by fear versus having the courage to overcome. It's what he's looking for is a guaranteed route that does not include any pain and disappointment. I already understand at this point in my life. I mean, I think I'm like 13 or 14. At this point in my life, I understand pain and disappointment are just a part of the process. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do what I want to do and let the chips fall where they may. And yeah, of course it sucks. Like, I think I did end up making the baseball team, but that's only because they didn't have that many people. We had a small school. They didn't have that many people try out. So it didn't, I guess it didn't hurt the coaches to have me be on the team. But if we like had like a tight number of of roster places, I would have been the first cut to get cut from the team. And so again, the reason this is important is because in my life, what I found is by pursuing the things that I want to pursue, a lot of times that just invites failure and it invites disappointment. Like if I actually try to go after things that are hard, that just invites disappointment. And the reason movies like Rudy are important to me is because like most of the film is him having to pick up his broken heart and put the pieces back together, stand back up on his feet and go try again after trying a million times and failing a million times. And I just think that like we I don't know what it is, man, but we live like everybody wants to be comfortable and nobody wants to feel that sting. But the thing is like you want but then you end up being uncomfortable because you're always looking for comfort. And what are you uncomfortable about? It's like you're weak. You can't handle any stress. You can't handle any problems. If something devastating, some traumatic experience happened to you tomorrow, that you would be crushed because you're always avoiding hard things. You're always looking for the guaranteed success. You never try anything where you might fall flat on your face. You never endure anything that makes you uncomfortable. And when you avoid hard things all the time, you don't build up any emotional and mental armor. And that's what I'm looking for here. Like, you got to build up that armor. And this leads to my second point, because the article in the podcast is titled Taming the Fear of Failure. Where how do you tame the fear of failure, Travis? You go through it. Look, y'all, like there is no magic here. Like part of building up that callousness and that toughness to failure is you need to get inoculated to it. So maybe you start with small things. And for probably the millionth time already in this podcast, I'm going to say this. An easy way to toughen up is to develop some sort of fitness routine and get on some sort of get tired. Know what it's like to experience fatigue or an uncomfortable position in yoga class or a drill at a martial arts gym that's making your heart pump and you're exhausted and you're breathing heavy and the coach is telling you to keep going, or you're lifting weights and you see yourself get stronger as you struggle to do a movement or whatever the case may be. Fitness is a very easy way to inoculate your mind and body to the difficulty of doing hard things. Oh man, it's 5:30 a.m. I just woke up and I got to get my workout in before I have to be at work at 8:30. That means I got to shake off the fatigue. I got to put the clothes on. I got to have gotten my stuff ready last night. I got to do a bunch of things that I don't feel like doing so I can have an experience of life that is better than the one I'm having right now, right? It's like I want to do it because I want to become something different. I want life to be more peaceful. I want to have more energy. I want to have more financial peace. I want my relationships to be better. That means I have to choose to be uncomfortable right now so I can be comfortable in the future. And to me, that's how this works. And a big thing, the analogy I use in the article is I talk about sparring in martial arts, and this could be whether it's boxing or grappling or, in any of it where you're kind of going in a live scenario to use your techniques, where here's the deal. Anytime you go into a live martial arts scenario, whether it's in practice or competition, this is certainly the case for me. And this is grappling, striking, whatever it involves, whatever techniques it involves. There's this elevated tension and anxiety because you're doing martial arts live. So that means injuries can come. That means being embarrassed in front of other people, losing in front of other people. And look, man, nobody that practices any kind of combat sport wants to lose. Not a single one of us, whether it be in practice or live. But you recognize that in order to get better, you got to be willing to take the risk of losing because you got to face people who are better than you. That's the only way you really learn. And that's the only way you learn to implement the techniques properly. And this is an important point. You're, as a martial artist, you you learn to not suppress your fear, but you learn to see past it. And the reason you practice is so that you know what strategies and techniques to implement while you're navigating that feeling of anxiety. This is where you learn to have courage because you have practiced. You've practiced that jab over and over and over again. You've practiced that takedown over and over again. You've practiced that submission defense over and over again. And so now that you've gone through that repetition of technique and strategy, you know you can. Ideally, it's something that just happens based on habit and instinct when the live scenario comes. How does this relate to us in just everyday life? This is why I give you 3 principles of ownership. And this is why I wrote that book. Because when trauma, like I mentioned in the last point, when that trauma comes to slap you in the face and hit you in the chest, that, you know, that spouse has been cheating, that death of a close family member, that loss of a job, that, you know, I don't know, that cancer diagnosis. When these things come to visit us, it can be very easy to fall into this like emotional tailspin and have this cloud of a negative emotion block your ability to see logically through to figure out what the next step is. But the reason I give you ownership and principles of ownership is so that you've practiced this in your mind, so that when the pain comes, when the difficulty comes, when the failure comes, the disappointment comes, the trials and tribulations of life come, you know, control what you can control. Okay, I have a vision. Okay, I know what my story is. Okay, I know that I need to execute action over time to evolve into something else. So, what did I say in the article about being picked on every day and being bullied every day? What I had to learn how to do is not let my actions be controlled by my feelings. This is something that I'm saying to people all the time, but people have a very difficult time understanding this and embodying this. Most of us will be governed in the moment by how we feel rather than where we want to go. This is why you have to have a vision and you have to think regularly about, where do I want my life to go? Because when disappointing events happen in life, it's going to be very easy to just do what makes you feel good in the moment. And eventually in that behavior in that moment starts to turn into that day, that week, that month, that year. Before you know it, a decade has gone by where some traumatic event happened. Again, spouse cheated on you, death in the family, loss of career. And you deviated into whatever vices you needed to deviate into in order to feel good in that moment. And you just stayed on that path of deviation rather than saying like, look, man, I get it. You might have to hit that bottle like that day when you find out that your significant other cheated on you. You know, you might have to go eat that box of donuts or, you know, or whatever it is. Like, we all slip and make mistakes. But the point of a vision is to remember who you want to be ultimately. And this is where you have to be able to have this strategy of ownership and remember, okay, what's the principle here? Action over time. I understand in this moment where I'm hurting bad. I understand as a little kid in these moments where I go to school, I get picked on again and again and again. And even sometimes the teachers talk about me like a dog. And I feel horrible on the inside. And the last thing I want to do is discipline myself to try to eat more vegetables, eat more fruits, get up and do the workout again, go back to the summer and work hard again over the summer, even though summer after summer previous to this, I've never lost any weight. The discipline, the action over time to get up and go again. Because what? Any significant change that we want in this life will not be acquired easily. You most likely it will require a long period of time, and it definitely requires consistent action. And over any long period of time, you are going to experience adversity. So the first principle of ownership, action over time. If it's worth having, it's worth fighting for. You stay focused on what you want to become. You have that vision. That's the third principle. Maintain a vision. The process is more important than the products, right? The process of moving towards that vision changes you as a person, your character, helps you develop more courage as you encounter the failure, as you encounter the disappointment. Because giving into our vices is not making us better necessarily. It may numb pain in the moment, but it doesn't improve our level of self-discipline. It doesn't improve our level of focus. And it's certainly probably not going to make you feel, it's not going to make you feel that a sensation of progress and moving towards something better or moving towards a better version of yourself. And that's what this podcast is all about, y'all, self-improvement. So remember, y'all, the name of the book is Adapt and Overcome: 3 Principles to Master the Most Important Skill in Life, which is personal ownership. What are those 3 principles? Principle number 1, action over time. If it's worth having, it's worth fighting for. Principle number 3, understand your story, because we act based upon our beliefs, even when we don't know what we believe in. Understand your story. And principle number 3, maintain a vision. The process is more important than the process, more important than the products. Because y'all, like, this is about self-improvement, and you need to be in some sort of process, some intentional process for self-improvement. So y'all, this is episode number 15, Taming the Fear of Failure. Make sure y'all go to my website, travisdaigle.com. You can find links to my book there, links to my YouTube channel, links to the podcast. And also make sure you subscribe to the blog, because then you'll get the written articles ahead of time. Remember, today's post came out August 30th, 2024. But I appreciate everybody who's out there following, and I will see y'all next time.